This episode is brought to you by Resy and American Express. Resy is a digital platform that connects restaurants to restaurant lovers by elevating dining experiences, providing original industry content, and helping to fill some of the country's most exciting dining rooms. Because restaurants have always been more than just places to eat. The amazing world of restaurants is just a few taps away in the Resy app and at resy.com.
Finished training for the day? Time to fight post-workout fatigue with Core Power Protein Shakes. They're packed with 26 grams of high-quality protein to build muscle and electrolytes to help hydrate. The nutrition you need to help your body replenish, rebuild, and repair post-workout so you can power on to the next one. Champion your recovery with Core Power. Visit corepower.com to learn more.
I think every child should be able to see their parents prepare a meal for them, whether it's a sandwich or whether it's a stew. I don't care how simple it is, but I think that's like the ultimate act of love.
This is Taste. I'm your host, Matt Rodbard. Antoni Porowski is best known as the food and wine expert on the Netflix series Queer Eye, which will be airing its final season later this year. He's a best-selling author and host of a terrific food travel show, No Taste Like Home. I joined Antoni on stage at the Traverse City Food and Wine Festival for an amazing conversation. I hope you enjoy it. Also on the show, we have a really great conversation with Lindsay Baruch, author of the new book, Something Delicious. I hope you enjoy this episode. Let's start from the beginning because I want to hear about food growing up in Montreal and learning from your mom and learning from your mom, who was a scientist who learned to cook from cookbooks and was quite the home cook. I want to share with us a story about the way food became a part of your life early on.
Yeah, I mean, to quote my therapist who asked me to stop using her full name, her name is Carol. If it's hysterical, it's definitely historical, and I think that like my love of and my appreciation of food comes from the environment I was in when I was growing up. A child of immigrants, being raised in Montreal, which is despite 9 months of yes to immigrants, yeah. Because unless you're First Nations or part of a native tribe, we are all descendants of immigrants, and I think we should all remind ourselves of that. But being raised, it is so easy for my ADHD to go off on segues with you, rowdy bunch.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to stay focused.
I'll get you. I'm your wingman.
Thank you. That's
I'm
what
your
you're
wingman.
here for, Matt.
I'm here
Yeah,
for that.
yeah. But I was raised in an incredibly culturally diverse environment where even in elementary school we had a tradition twice a year called the Buffet of Nations, where you would go to school with a dish from wherever your parents were from, and you would just break bread and you would learn about each other and each other's customs through food. And so I was exposed to that at a very young age. My mother was an excellent home cook. Never went to, you've had her food? Yeah.
Yeah.
I got questions, but it's okay. That's for another time. But she was amazing. She didn't let me cook with her.
Really?
Yeah.
She didn't let you touch
No.
the pans?
But I get it because
You get it.
I like to cut an onion a very specific way. And
So
even though I'm a people person, I'm more of like, just like, let me do it so that you can enjoy the final product.
Right.
But I am changing because I think we should always try to grow and change. And I'm, for the first time in my life, actually, even 2 nights ago, I've often, I've been really stubborn about sort of not letting people into the kitchen and letting me do the thing the way that my mother did. And I get where that it comes from a place of love, of really wanting to perform and to offer that love, because food is truly love. But for the first time ever with my partner now, we actually made a meal from start to finish that we like conceptualized and made it together. And it was like one of the most beautiful things. So I'm changing. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yeah.
So he was able to slice the onion.
Yeah. No, I didn't let him. I didn't say I let him cut the onion. Let's not be crazy. Yeah.
Okay.
No, his hands are too big. He's not capable of the Yeah, he doesn't have dainty fingers like me.
No.
Okay, calm down. Like, enough.
Couples have strengths and weaknesses.
His family is here, okay? Like, a little bit of decorum,
Little
Traverse
bit.
City. You're doing so well. I'm kidding. Be you. Wild times. Just let your freak flag fly. But anyway, coming back, yeah. So my mother didn't let me cook, but I did. I watched her, and that was something that was incredibly important. I think every child should be able to see their parents prepare a meal for them, whether it's a sandwich or whether it's a stew. I don't care how simple it is, but I think that's like the ultimate act of love. And I feel like I was just kind of learning and just taking it in like a sponge. And then when I was, left to my own devices in college, and I moved in with roommates who had an apartment, and I didn't know how to show up because I couldn't afford to pay rent for the first couple of months because my parents cut me off. That's for another day.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
Smooth sea makes for a skilled scaler. There's a whole thing. You guys, there's a sailing community here. You get it. And I turned out okay. And so I learned after I moved out of my parents' home, where I was sort of I realized that I had all of these tools to kind of figure out how to cook for myself, and I just started cooking for other people as a result.
Let's go to New York. Yeah. Moving from West Virginia to New York to pursue acting, but also you end up working in restaurants. Mm-hmm. You end up becoming part of the food community. And I think when we watch you on TV, we know that you have this back of house and front of house experience. You know what's up. And I want to get some New York stories because I don't think you've told a lot of them. I feel like we're going somewhere with this conversation. What's it like working at the restaurants in New York? It has a kaleidoscope of emotions. It's toxic and it's beautiful and it's
all of that
sexual.
Yeah.
It's
it's like every book that Bourdain ever wrote. It's exactly that.
He couldn't even capture it all.
Yeah.
But what are these experiences like working in New York City restaurants?
I think so. I've only worked front of house, and I was in the service industry for about 12-ish years before Queer Eye came about. In Montreal and then in New York. And in New York, I worked at a place called Fatty Crab.
Really?
Which did
You worked
amazing.
at Fatty?
I worked at Fatty Crab.
Oh,
yeah.
you were front.
Oh, I was at Fatty Crab, yeah.
Zach Palaccio?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
we could. This is storytelling
I was
hour.
at that annual barbecue every year.
Oh,
yeah.
you were?
I stole his child's stormtrooper helmet. Oh, God.
He's such a great drummer.
No, it was Optimus Prime, actually, and I still have it. I stole his child's
Zach's
mask.
son is a hell of a good drummer now. He's an adult now.
Really?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
I can't believe you worked there.
So I worked at a great Malaysian street food type restaurant where I basically spent all my money on just eating the food there because their chili crab was outstanding, and they actually had this crispy pork belly wraps with pickled watermelon rinds, which we were just talking about the other day. Amazing. Yeah, pickle your watermelon rinds. Don't throw them out. Amazing. Yeah. I worked there for a few years, and then I was working at Bond Street.
Yeah.
Where I was a busboy, and then a runner and a server, and then became a manager. And I worked there as a salmon manager until basically a year before Queer Eye came about.
What is the crowd like at Bond Street? Because Bond Street is in Page Six. It's in Us Weekly.
It's the type of place where it became an institution pretty quickly in, I would say, the late 90s. Where it was just a very fashion-y type crowd, but it's one of those few places that have really stayed, and they've kept the decor and everything in the menu just kind of really intact. Working in the service industry in general, I think, should be mandatory for letting you a little understand interpersonal skills and how to deal with people, how to respond, and how, more importantly, sometimes not to respond. Because there's a lot of entitlement in New York with people engaged in the rat race. God, the more I talk about New York, I'm just I just want to I'm not going back.
You're gonna get that Zillow.
Screw that flight back.
Working out.
We need that house quicker, real estate agents. My phone's not buzzing yet. Let's go. But it taught me so much about how to deal with people and patience in general. But for me, it was being the front of the house was just, I respect chefs so much. And I'm someone who didn't go to culinary school. I am self-taught. I've always sort of prided myself on referring to myself as a home cook as opposed to a chef. One, out of respect for chefs who actually went to school and trained for it. but 2, because I just kind of wanted to have the freedom to just kind of like do my own thing. But I love performing, and I've been performing since I was a little kid. And so being able to like recite a whole menu and have like knowledge about where the different elements come from and all the different types of fish, and being able to like say them in Japanese is like, I got so much joy out of it. Like it was.
You were clearly absorbing it when you're working at Bond Street.
100%.
It's a serious restaurant. You're absorbing it. Let's talk about booking Queer Eye 2016. Taking over for Ted Allen, a legendary. Is anyone Ted Allen fans in the audience? We love Ted Allen. So
I wouldn't be here without him.
And talk about the audition. Talk about trying out for the show and really thinking about this reboot with 5 fresh faces on TV, doing and putting your own stamp on Queer Eye in the culinary realm.
So I was at the time when Queer Eye was being cast, I was, just to like paint the picture, I was in like a 350 square foot Brooklyn apartment with a kitchen where I had 1 drawer and only 2 of the burners worked on the oven. But at the same time, it was like the best time, because that's when I was the most creative I've ever been with food. Because when you have limitations is when you're forced to be creative. And I was a struggling actor, and I graduated from this really great institution called the Neighborhood Playhouse, thinking I was going to land all these roles. And then 7 years went by. And I had friends throughout that time who were basically always telling me, like, I had like 2 mentors, and a close friend of mine who kept on saying, like, the way that you talk about food is like you have like it's literally all you think about. Whatever topic we're talking about, it always somehow pivots to food. We can be having breakfast, and then you're already trying to think about what you want to have for lunch, and then it's like, and I don't know if it's like the generational trauma of like all my grandparents being like Holocaust survivors and like not having for like whatever it is, but like it's there, and that's just like in me, and my whole family is like that, and that having that deep obsession and figuring out how to make something better and simpler and like getting rid of the mess. And it's just been a deep obsession, but I was fighting it because all I wanted to do was to be an actor. And finally a friend of mine reached out, and they were like, look, so the show Queer Eye is being rebooted by Netflix. It's their first unscripted series. It's definitely going to be a lot more documentary and like more storytelling than when it was on Bravo, which was more ad driven. And so it's like a whole different format, and they want you to share more about your personal lives. So immediately, like, my little butthole clenched, because I was like, reality TV wanted nothing to do with it.
You're like a dramaturge. Like, you were thinking about the theater.
No, way too highbrow for that. And lo and behold, look where I am.
We're in a theater.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there you go.
Here you are
on a stage.
Your dream come true.
Yeah,
in an opera house in this wonderful city.
We can call it. It's like a 3/4 circle. It's not quite full, but it's there.
Right.
And they met. So there was that part, and also cooking in a professional capacity was actually something that I never really considered, because it was something that was very personal and it was intimate. And I was met with this fear, and I decided, like, okay, I'm really terrified, but I also really get off on fear in a weird way. And so I was like, I have to like lean in and see what this is all about. So I auditioned for it. I happened to be an assistant for Ted Allen, who was the food and wine expert on the original iteration.
So you were aware of the original series,
I was aware of it. I was like that. You know, there's like I think, is it Octavia Spencer? There's like a meme of like her hiding behind like a tree when something is cringy. I would be watching it when my sisters were watching Carson and Ted and all of them do their thing, where it was like I didn't really know who the hell I was, but I was really entertained, and it was in New York, so it was exciting. And so I was very familiar with it, and I called Ted and I was like, hey, like, they're rebooting Queer Eye. He was like, I literally just got out of a meeting with the show creator. And he was like, wait. I was like, He's like, oh, you want to go for this?
Oh, sweet.
And I was like, do I though? And I was like, Ted, I'm not a chef. And he was like, I was a journalist.
Yeah.
I didn't go to culinary school. He was like, I think this is perfect. He was like, I think with a lot of, generally speaking, with a lot of like chef de cuisine, like they don't necessarily have the patience or the bandwidth to teach someone how to slice a lime properly.
Yeah.
And with you, it's like, you're passionate about it, and you can sort of be this like mediator or this bridge in between. And he was like, and you're really passionate about it. I've been cooking for him for years at this point. And I was confident enough in that respect. He was like, I think you should go for it. And so with his blessing, I kind of went, not thinking that I wanted to do it. And I did my casting tape, which I just got to watch.
Really?
Yeah.
Did
they made
it
okay
during the wrap of the
so
recent season?
little secret for all of us here, doesn't leave the room. No, so we just wrapped this is like known, but we wrapped our 10th and final season in DC.
Like weeks ago.
Yeah, we 3 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And by the end we were doing some social media stuff for Netflix, and they had a thing where they had us watch like each other's casting tapes. We were such little cherubs. And watching my audition tape, I was like, I'm going to set myself up for success and literally do the audition from Ted's beautiful Brooklyn brownstone kitchen, as I did. And the audition went well, and then I got sent to LA, and it was a pool of a few hundred of us, and then they started narrowing it down, and that's where my pathological drive for competition kicked in. And I was like,
there a chemistry check?
Oh, it was a full chemistry test.
That's why the show is so great, because we know that the five you guys are all on the same page.
We had never met, and I remember the moment where they put me in a room with the original four. And it was the first time that I'd ever seen them. And I'd been to hundreds of auditions. And the way, if you're like, it's like acting is terrible. You need to really love it. Oh. It's like a first responder or like a teacher. You got to really love what you do. Yeah. And I'm not putting myself on that level, by the way, because first responders and teachers and me here.
Yeah.
But you go to auditions and you do the thing and you leave, and then it's radio silence and you just move on. And they always talk about things like chemistry. We want that chemistry. Mm-hmm. And I remember sitting there, and they were showing like a photo of a guy with like Crocs wearing cargo shorts, which ironically are back right now.
Yeah.
I need to.
You've been on TV for a minute.
Yeah,
that's
true. That's true. But I remember all of us were just riffing off each other and like finishing each other's sentences. And I was like, I'm like, this is what it feels like when it's good, when it's supposed to like make sense.
Interesting.
And I think in that moment, it was just that realization of like, I've been fighting to pursue this thing that I thought I was destined to do. And I've just been getting out of my own way of just like believing and trusting that everything I have done in my life to this point has like led to this, studying psychology and understanding bedside manner and being passionate about food. Like all of that stuff led up to this. So then I fought like hell, and we, one of us started a group chat on day one, which was highly delusional.
No way.
But it worked out. Yeah. And then we stuck together, and then I found out maybe 2 to 3 weeks later that I was going off to Atlanta to film the first 2 seasons of Queer Eye.
That's incredible. Today's episode of This Is Taste is brought to you by Grow Therapy. Have you ever tried to Google therapist near me and ended up more anxious than when you started? Yeah, same. For real, I once spent 2 hours scrolling potential therapists. I started checking their LinkedIns. I started checking their Instagram profiles, all that background information. And you know what? I did not end up with a therapist at the end of this deep dive. I knew too much. Grow Therapy makes it way less overwhelming and way more affordable. Whether it's your first time in therapy or your 50th, Grow makes it easier to find a therapist who fits your needs. They connect you with thousands of independent, licensed therapists across the U.S., offering both virtual and in-person sessions, nights and weekends. It's that easy. And you can search by what matters, like insurance, specialty, or availability, and get started in as little as 2 days. And if something comes up, you can cancel up to 24 hours in advance at no cost. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments. You just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your own time. Whatever challenges you're facing, Grow Therapy is here to help. Sessions average about $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0, depending on their plan. Visit growtherapy.com/taste today to get started. That's growtherapy.com/taste. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan.
Big news. Sephora is now on Uber Eats. So if you find yourself facing a beauty emergency, Like needing a last-minute gift, or you're just out of your favorite mascara. Again, don't panic. We got you. Order now and get $10 off on Sephora orders of $50 or more on the Uber Eats app. Order now. Offer ends October 30th. One order per customer. Additional terms apply. See app for availability. Delivery fees may apply.
What's the first few messages in the group chat when you're first starting to get to know each other? Are you?
Well, I'm not sharing those.
Okay.
It's mostly really inappropriate memes. And
Yes.
I mean, look, it's
Over
like
the top.
we were a middle-aged boy band. We experienced something. No, but it's true though. We were experiencing this thing. Like, first of all, it was the first unscripted show that Netflix was coming up with, and Jen Levy, who was running the show, it was her first job after leaving Bravo, another network, and so she had a lot to prove. She was queer herself, and she was very passionate about the show and cared for it deeply. So she had a lot on the line and wanted to make sure that it was a big deal. And no one told us about the advertising budgets, that the day that it was launched, we were going to be on 2 jumbotrons in Times Square. We were driving to our first TV interview ever, which I'd never done one before.
Really?
And we're in this Sprinter minivan, and we're going on 7th Avenue. And then I think Karamo screamed like, "Holy shit, we're not, look at that. Look at the bus stop." And then I look, and it's us. And I'm like, why are we there? And then we look at the next street, and then it's us again. Yeah. And then there was like a painted mural, and I was like, what the hell is happening? And it was this shock of being thrust into, yes, it took years in the making of getting us there and all kinds of hard work and whatever, but it was this kind of a flash in a pan where people got really excited and responded to it. It was also a really tricky time, not unlike today, in what was going on in the climate politically, where it was just I think people were just looking for anything that provided a sense of comfort and joy and connection when everything just felt so polarized, and that someone was actually trying to have a conversation about meeting in the middle, or just at least being curious about it and having conversations. It was the elements were just all right. And back to the group chat, full circle, that was our safe space. We could vent to each other about whatever it was, where other people wouldn't necessarily understand, where it's oh, woe is you, you're experiencing all this success, but stuff that gave us anxiety and the loss of anonymity and dealing with all of that.
Let's go to the loss of anonymity, because I think you lose it all that moment it gets on Netflix, and it's not every they're on all the episodes, right?
And it was they drop everything at once, and it was the first series ever, even for scripted, that Netflix dropped it in all 190 territories simultaneously. So it wasn't even we were I have you're famous in one city, but then you can travel abroad and be okay, I can I here. It was it was everywhere.
And it's not growing week after week as most shows grow. You debut a show. What is that like when you start getting recognized on the street overnight? Yeah. I mean, what's that?
It's not, well, it's weird because if I'm youngest child, pathological need to be seen. Apparently that's a thing according to Carol.
Carol.
She's right. I've always wanted to be in movies. I've always wanted this concept of what it is, but in actual practice, it's sort of oh, I don't get to switch this off and then go out to a restaurant in Clinton Hill where I was living at the time and just shut it off. It follows you everywhere.
You're picking up your laundry.
Right. It's there all the time. Yeah. And I can be pretty in my head sometimes and just kind of I'm a bit of a dreamer. So I forget even to this day. And then you leave and you're oh, this is still a thing. A friend of mine compared it to a mentor of mine actually explained it. He's in the art world, so it was a weird comparison, but bear with me. But he was basically becoming famous is losing your virginity. It's once it goes away, it's just gone. And it might be really amazing. It might be painful. It might be a mix of all of those different feelings. But you have to just accept that it's gone and just kind of embrace the next chapter in your life and eventually hopefully get excited about it.
A way to put it.
He's in the art world. He's conceptual.
I think it works for this audience. I think it works. Let's go behind the scenes a little bit for the production, because I think what happens on the show and why we all love it so much is you do this magical trick. You show up and you start filming with your new friend, and there's a familiarity between you and the subject. And it's right away we feel this connection. And like, you're doing this for TV. It's like not all real. We know that. But like, how do you achieve that when you're going into one of the episodes that right away you have this chemistry with your folks?
I mean, I think with the 5 of us, I think we were lucky where we just all we did the fear that we were experiencing, particularly I think we felt it after the season came out and we came back to film our second group, because we did the first 2 seasons in Atlanta and then we were back in Kansas City. So we had already experienced what it's like to be like a public person and to have that loss of anonymity. And so we leaned into each other even more. And I think those were some of our strongest times together because we really relied on each other. And so with our scenes, for example, you know, some of us are more outwardly emotional than others. We all, you know, we're all bleeding hearts at the end of the day, but we would kind of like communicate a lot more. Like if Karamo had like a really intense scene and he was just like handing Kleenexes, he would text me if he knew that I was coming up after, and he was like, okay, just like chill on the emotional stuff, because like I like ran this person ragged emotionally, and like a bit of levity. So we would figure out, because you're dealing with an actual human being. This isn't an actor. This isn't someone who has wanted to be on TV. They've never been in front of cameras before, and you have to treat them that way. And again, it's like that's going back to everything that I learned of just like being a server, that you have people from all different walks of life who are going to meet you, and you just have to remember that no matter what someone is bringing your way, whether it's aggressive, whether it's painful, whether it's offensive, and it's really hard sometimes, but you have to remember that it's always a person. And so I just always have tried to remind myself. But even that was a journey, because look, season 1 and 2 came out, we got all of this praise, and when you get all of this praise, then there's this come down of people kind of like coming at you. People came after me for doing like really, there was a whole avocado thing for anybody who's watched the show. Which, in my defense, like everyone needs to calm down.
Can we paraphrase it for those who don't know it?
Yeah. So
Sorry.
no, I'm gonna get into it because clearly I'm not over it. Our first 2 seasons we filmed in Atlanta, it was 16 episodes. Okay. And this isn't a linear show, so they're all, they weren't presented to the public the way that they were filmed. In 2 of 16 episodes, I used avocado, which is high in omega-3s. It's good for you. It's not a weird thing to use multiple times. And it's delicious.
It's delicious.
And of course, Netflix had a lot of things to consider, but they decided to have the 2 episodes that I did in the first 2 episodes of the season. So that became my entire identity. Joke's on them. I've gotten tons of brand deals with avocados in Mexico since then. And it's like, I'm fine.
So good.
But that became my whole identity. And then there was this narrative of like, oh, he's basically like doing simple recipes for these people. When it's like, you have to remember, our first ever episode that we filmed, which was the first one to air, was Tom Jackson, R.I.P., passed away a couple of years ago. He was obsessed with Tex-Mex cuisine, but he was basically only eating at a restaurant all the time. And I did this whole spread for him because I didn't understand how editing worked. We could be here for 10 hours. I'm going to try to make this quick.
No,
Sorry. But I remember like I did this whole spread for him and my clip just ended up distilled into like 2 minutes. And of course they only kept me making guacamole for him. It's fine.
Yeah. Good guacamole, though.
And I stand by putting Greek yogurt because it's added protein and it prevents it from browning. So get over it.
Yeah.
And but I remember when I was cutting open an avocado, he asked me, I was like running through it because I've done it a million times, making it for like my sisters growing up. And then he looked at me and he was like, what's that? And I was like, what is he pointing to? And he was pointing to the pit. Yeah. He'd never seen the inside of an avocado before because he would order it at restaurants. Yeah. And then I was like, oh. And I was like, okay, Aunt, slow it down and don't take for granted what someone may or may not know in the kitchen. And then I cut open a lime and he was asking me about like why there aren't seeds in a lime. And so I explained that. And that was like a teaching lesson. I got to learn from him as well. And so I tried to apply that. When we came back from Kansas City after getting hate for being simplistic, I remember the first episode we did with a camp counselor, showrunner comes up to me and she's like, okay, so what are you doing for your dish this week? I was like, we're going to make cassoulet.
Oh, you went there.
Which is like a complex, a country, like hearty French food.
You needed to flex
and
a little bit.
And she was like, Aunt, she's like, what the hell are you doing? She's like, this guy's literally eating peanut butter sandwiches. He doesn't even toast his bread. Like, But sure, he'll have a nice cassoulet. Maybe he's never had duck before, but he's not going to recreate this. And she reminded me, she was like, you need to cut out all of the buzz and the noise and just focus on the person. And then I remember Tom Jackson, and I kind of like leaned into that.
I think
not without the support of my castmates.
I mean, I think that is why your show is so successful and beloved, because you are a food professional on TV, but you're not acting the part. You're democratizing food, and
As it should be.
As it should be, but it's hard not to. A lot of chefs, we're in this era of Top Chef. I'll be talking about that tomorrow. Come back here.
Oh yeah, come see him tomorrow. That's yeah.
We're in this era where to be successful on television and food, you have to be a master chef. It's literally the name of the show. And you're not doing that. And you took flack from like the media critics, from the Twitter people in New York, but ultimately you became beloved because you were teaching people to cook at the most basic level, open-heartedly. And a lot of people on TV, they can't do that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say, but thank you.
But I'll follow it up by asking, after all of these seasons, what did you learn about Americans cooking and some of the mistakes that they kept making over and over and over again that you were like, you know what, you should probably do that. You know, you should, like, there's got to be some themes.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Some themes were appearing.
I think, themes.
Like when you're working with each of these, these subjects.
Yeah. I think the recurring theme, and it's not like a specific mistake of like a step or not adding lemon when you should, or seasoning every step of the way, which you should. But it's a human fear of the unknown. It's of not doing something because you're afraid of the result or that it's not going to be perfect. Like I've screwed up so many chickens until I figured out how to roast one perfectly. Like there's just there's a fear that comes from that. But I think with all of those people, like the secret sauce, has always been like just ask them about their childhood. Like get them, the most interesting people to me are the ones who treat food as utilitarian. Yeah. Where it's like, I just want calories.
Food is fuel.
Food is fuel.
Like the Soylent people.
Exactly.
Like literally Soylent.
But it's those people that interest me because it's those where it's sort of like, okay, that's totally fine. I hear you. I'm going to see you where you're at. But like, let's talk about childhood. Every single person in this room has a story of a dish that shaped them, of someone who loved them and who made that thing for them when they were growing up. We all have that. It doesn't matter where you come from or whether you grew up in whatever socioeconomic status. And that's like a human universal truth. And like when you get to that core, when you find a reason, if you're not willing to do it for yourself, then finding someone who you can do that for, that recipe has never failed. Sorry. Oh, so many food puns. Wow.
It's great. You're born for the food pun. Yeah. Give us the most challenging episode to film. There's got to be one time when you were on location.
Well, yeah.
There's one.
There's a few. No, there's a few. Oh, there's a few. There's one that if you tune in to our 10th and final season, really excited to see how it gets edited. But we have a lovely hero. We had a hero.
Oh.
No, they were lovely. They just had a lot of hang-ups that had nothing to do with just food, but just like life in general, of just holding on to the past and understandably having felt the need to survive, and not having had the opportunity to just like really explore a relationship with themselves. I'm really trying hard not to give any specifics.
Yeah.
But it's always the challenging ones for me. It's like, that's like, if you don't want my affection, like that's where my mommy issues come in. And I'm like, it's like when I go to Paris, it's like, you're going to be cold with me because they're like kind of bitchy. I'm like, I will get your cell phone number, not in a weird way, but like we will become friends by the end of this. Like we will figure this out and I will soften you up somehow. And it's like, that's always like my biggest.
Did anything ever catch on fire though?
Did anything ever catch on fire?
I'm just trying to get a fire story out of you.
Did anything ever catch on fire?
Yeah, did anything ever catch on fire?
Wait, I did. No, I sliced my finger with a mandolin once, which was
really?
horrible.
The tip came off?
A radish. Yeah, the thumb's right here.
You got the scars.
I've had 3 heroes cut themselves, but they were all super game. So they were totally fine and they didn't freak out. Like they were totally okay with it.
They had their bandage.
Yeah. Oh no, no.
Cool.
Yeah. You put a little. Yeah. You put a little
Second skin
a
on
little
there.
condom on it, and you're fine. Yeah. Not an actual one, but yeah.
Let's talk about No Taste Like Home. Your
Let's.
great show. Hey, people are watching this show. It is so good. And I'm for real. It is so good. It's a documentary series. You're taking big name celebrities to their hometown to learn about food. I want to just know, Antoni, how did you come up with this idea and then execute it at such a, high level? It's a really nice documentary filmmaking.
Thank you. So for anyone who has a life and isn't watching TV all the time and doesn't know, that's basically like the soft pitch of the show. I always knew that kind of like going back to what I learned on Queer Eye about asking them questions about their childhood, that sort of helped shape in helping me figure out what I wanted to do for my next step, where I realized I love I call it a dump and stir, like those classic shows that we all love, like watching Ina cook for Jeffrey and all the amazing Food Network shows of like cooking food. Like I love those, but I'm not that person, and that's not something that I could just do and feel fulfilled with. And I've kind of I learned to embrace the fact that for me, it's more about storytelling through food. And I've been obsessed with, again, taking us back to like the buffet of nations and like learning about other people's cultures, a love of travel, a love of exploring diversity. I kind of wanted to figure out how to like do something in that realm. And so I had an idea for basically family history through food and pitched it to a whole bunch of different networks. Nat Geo was one of them. And because Disney is on board, their parent company, they were like, let's leverage our Marvel superheroes, which I was like, absolutely, let's go. And it turned into this thing of basically starting out with a dish that shaped them when they were young and going back to their country of origin and dissecting it and learning what was going on culturally, politically, and socially at the time in unpacking it, because it's never just about the dish, right? Like as soon as you research it or ask ChatGPT, it's like there's a whole history there of like how the ingredients ended up there. Like just one little tiny example. I'm trying to be mindful of time, but I'm horrible at that. Cool. We did an episode in Senegal with Issa Rae. Who's like
such names on this Francis Pugh. We got
that's like let me pick up the name I just dropped off.
You've got Aquafina, but you've got it's not like you have James Marsden. Everyone
in Bavaria, that was amazing.
You've got great names.
But you're distracting me, man. I have to focus on this one thing.
Sorry.
So we went with Issa and we went back to Senegal, and she had been there many times visiting like her aunties and. But she never really, like so many of us when we go visit our families, it's like you don't get to go to all of like the exteriors because you're just going from one relative's to another, like just basically like a stuffed pig by the end of it. You're just like eating food and making all your relatives happy. And so we were like out there in the streets and we were like eating this food, and there was this wonderful street food that we tried that was basically a baguette that was filled, it's called dambe. That's filled with this like a vegan, it's kind of like a black-eyed pea stew with some spices. And what we learned about it's basically the equivalent of like going to LA and finding a taco stand at every single corner, or farm eggs for you guys on literally in front of everyone's house from their beautiful chickens who are leading very happy lives. And it's this common thing that you just see everywhere, but that you never really question. I'm thinking about chickens now. Back to the dambe.
Yeah. You're thinking about breakfast tomorrow. We'll get to that.
And then we basically learned that like dambe, this beloved baguette is basically the symbol because the French colonizers came in, and they came with all of their customs that they just pushed onto all of the local people. And when they left, for the most part, because they're still indirectly there and still control so much of it, but watch the episode. The Senegalese decided we like a baguette, but it's a little too crusty on the outside, so we want to soften it up a little. And we also want to bring back a dish that is inherent to our culture that has basically disappeared for the past 300 years of oppression. Wow. And turn it into this beloved street food. And so it's literally a million discoveries like that throughout the show. And what I learned doing the show and what Issa actually brought to my attention is we have me and my friends being Polish, although I know a lot of Polish people here, probably, yeah. We don't have to clap, but we can, yeah. I joke with my friends about generational trauma and having grandparents who were like Holocaust survivors, and we don't waste any bread. My dad has bags of breadcrumbs, even if it goes stale. But we don't talk about generational gifts. And it's like, why are we the way that we are? And she worded it a lot better than I ever could, where she was like, I feel like getting to know my ancestors, where I'm actually from, what they accomplished. She found out that she had 3 lines of women in a very like patriarchal society who was like, her great grandmother was the first one to import peanuts from Mali, which changed the entire industry of like the markets that were going on in Saint Louis, on a coastal town. She's like, I am who I am. And Issa is someone who has her own massive production company right now. Insecure is a fantastic show. She invests only in female-owned BIPOC businesses. Like, she really like, she's that girl in the best way. And it's like, she's like, the reason I want to always uplift women is because I didn't even realize how many strong women I had to thank for me being the way that I am. Like, we all have our ancestors and the sacrifices that they made to thank for that.
Love that answer. It's a terrific show.
And that's a recurring theme through every single episode of the show.
It's a great show.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
So be thinking questions. We're going to be taking them in like a few minutes. So get your questions ready. So tell me, next season, is there a new season? Also, where are you going to eat in Traverse City for the rest of your trip here? What's on the agenda?
Going to a couple places. But,
or just plans. We don't say the places, but plans while you're
Well, Sam left us 12 scones when we got here yesterday, and we have 3 left.
Okay.
So I'm going to be having the pecan maple probably tonight and tomorrow morning. So there's that. I have a couple of places that I want to check out and recommendations that I've had, which I'll make sure to post on socials.
You'll post after you're there. Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of like lovely content of like local businesses and stuff that I definitely want to share with everybody. It's tricky because it's sort of like this place is so special. I feel like I discovered a thing that's like a big secret. Meanwhile, you all have been living here forever.
Yeah.
And
but
it's
you
like
can gatekeep.
No, but you can gatekeep, but it's like I want everyone to know how amazing it is, but then at the same time, it's like I don't want too many McDonald's here. So it's like what do we?
Yeah.
Like it's hard.
Yeah.
You know?
You want people to visit, but not all at once. There's a balance here.
Because this place is special.
It
It's
really
like
is.
I landed and it was like I was immediately like Zach was telling me this. He was like, we're very like small business driven and like we take a lot of pride in that. And it's like you can be told something until you experience it. It's sort of like, oh. Like I was signing books with the lovely women at Horizons at the bookstore and like just getting to know them, and it's like every little shop that I've gone to has just been like it's just like been so special. I don't even remember what your question was. No Taste Like Home.
It was what you're up to.
We're finding out. Disney's figuring it out. There's an algorithm. Shows are really expensive to make. It's kind of like we're figuring it out. But I'm keeping busy, and I will say I'm really excited about a couple of things that are coming up.
What can you share? This
in
is
a professional capacity.
Friends only, off the record. What can you share?
There's a couple of things where I'm kind of like continuing down my mission to just tell very diverse stories, and the constant reminder that unless you are, First Nations or a part of a native tribe, like we are all the descendants of immigrants, and we need to really reiterate that, especially with everything that's going on right now.
Absolutely.
And just focusing on telling personal stories, because it's like I think we're all afraid of, we're all generalized, but I think a lot of people out there are afraid of what they don't understand. And what I learned on Queer Eye, it's like, look, well, the 5 of us are not very secretly very liberal. And we went in there And we met people who were really conservative. And those are actually the people who taught me the most about myself and taught me to kind of like open up my heart. And they were concepts to me. But when you get to meet them as individuals and you understand why they are the way they are and the values that they have and how they were raised, what they have, and more importantly, what they didn't have, and things that I've been privileged to have and not to assume that others have, it's just like, it opens you up, and it makes you just a tiny bit little less afraid. And it makes you realize that like this thing that's a concept, like the statue bleeds, if that makes sense. Yeah. That was a weird one, but
thank you for sharing. Let's go to some audience questions here. Can we get the house lights on? We have a roving microphone here. I think we have about
so bright
10 to 15 minutes to do some questions, because I think we've got one over there on the left-hand side, but let's go on the right-hand side. Right there is great. There we go.
I'm wondering where you stand on salting scrambled eggs before or after cooking.
That is a beautiful, what's your name?
My name is Alex.
Alex, that's a beautiful and thoughtful and important question.
Thank you.
I had to get up for that one. Whew. So, the pandemic was terrible, but I have ADHD. I'm neurodivergent. It just is what it is. What it did teach me was how to perfect soft scrambled eggs. And I spent about 6 months doing this, and I tried every single method. And what I did learn was I'm sick for salt. I could lick a salt stone, and my partner is not. But he's taught me to it's more about letting the ingredients shine, but it's like whatever. Well, also true. Two things can exist. With eggs specifically, I'm very much of a season as you go, but with salt and pepper with eggs, I wait till they're done. And with eggs specifically, room temp, which all of you know because you have your farm eggs here. You don't put them in a fridge. Duh. And then I whisk them up, and then for every 2 eggs, I add 1 teaspoon of water. I've tried creme fraiche. Yes, we love our dairy farmers. I'm big into it. You can top it on after on a French omelet with some trout roe. It's fantastic. But I've tried milk. I've tried heavy cream, cheese, all of it. No, it is water. And that's steam on low heat. And remember, if you have a gas range, that you can lift. I know this sounds obvious to chefs and cooks, but you can lift and control the heat. Keep it low and slow. This isn't a rush job. Take your time. It's worth it. And treat it like a risotto. A soft, a nice silicone spatula or a flat wooden spoon, which we need to normalize. There just needs to be more of them.
Flat wooden normalization.
You get more surface.
You have to do
and
that.
Treat it like a risotto and just gently create that small little curd. Now I'm thinking of cheese curds, back to the eggs. And then about a minute and a half before you think they're done, that's when you cut the heat, and they will keep on cooking. And then you salt it. Because if you salt it too early, it affects the texture.
You oversalt it if you salt it too early.
And then if you oversalt it too, exactly. You're not trying eggs as you're making them.
Next question.
Yeah.
Let's
Next
get.
question.
We're gonna try to get to a bunch of these. All right.
Sorry. Okay.
Okay. Here we go. In the front row. Here we go.
Hi.
Hi. Tell me about your favorite places in New Orleans.
Oh. Okay. I'll tell you one place because I want to get to everyone, and there's a really adorable child there who had their hand up who I want to get to after. Yeah, you. You know it's you. Yeah. We'll get to you, I promise. There's, I'm not just saying this because a friend of mine opened it, but there was an old boys' school in the 1800s that closed down, and then it was falling apart forever, and her name is Liz Lambert, and she bought it, and she opened it up, and it's called the St. Vincent Hotel. And they found there was a homeless person who was living in the attic, who had all of these gargoyle sculptures that she incorporated into the design. And their food and beverage program is exceptional. The best Caesar salad with this chili crisp and just the whole anchovies. And they do a wonderful a crawfish sauce with their steak. But yeah.
Love that rec.
Now I really want a nice gumbo. Okay,
Next
sorry.
question.
Wait, there was a cute the kid. Yeah, you. Yeah.
In No Taste Like Home, you at the beginning of the episodes you visit people with family recipes. What is your family recipe?
Okay.
Kid's got a future. Kids should be sitting right here.
Yeah. Thank you for that very thoughtful question. I think it would depend on I think the one, yeah. I mean, Montreal was mostly winters. You guys know what cold is like. And we have this thing called bigos, which is a hunter's stew, which is equal parts cabbage and sauerkraut, which is cooked down with prunes. And then you can use beer or wine. I prefer wine. My dad kind of, we disagree. A lot of bay leaves, and then you do offcuts of different meat. So it's like leftover little bits of kielbasa, of wild boar. No chicken. Chicken is great. It does not belong in there. Pork, just my opinion. Sometimes beef, and it just cooks down. And then you leave it in your garage, which is really cold because it's probably not heated. And then the next day you reheat it, and you get those little burnt ends and the caramelization that happens from the prunes and the wine that's reduced down. And you take pumpernickel bread, and you take room temperature salted butter, and you smear it on like it's cream cheese. And then you put a little dollop of this stuff, and then you take a bite, and your eyes roll to the back of your head, and suddenly you're like, I understand what it's like to be Polish.
Oh my gosh. Great
And
explanation.
pierogies are a close second, although we never made them at home.
Great explanation of why soups and stews taste better the next day.
Always.
Always. Next question.
Hi. Okay, so speaking of being Polish, do you know that there's a polka fest going on?
There is a
this
polka fest going
weekend?
on, I know.
And are you gonna go? Do you have time?
I don't. Oh, wow, you're making. Dry mouth. I'm hoping. I have every intention to pop by, but look, you have to understand. Literally meeting my future in-laws, like
Proposal?
like There's a lot going on. I'm also going to the grand tasting tomorrow, Food and Wine. I have to take my dog out. I got a lot on my plate. Do I want to support my people? Absolutely.
But
Do I want to see both traditional and also innovative ways of stuffing pierogies that would probably make my ancestors roll in their graves? Yes. But I can't do it all, but I'll try.
If the Zillow hits, you're going to just be here for a polka fest.
I'll be the chairman of the polka fest.
There you
next year. Who knows?
go. Grand Marshal.
Self-appointed Grand Marshal, yeah.
Question, raise your hand. All right.
There's probably a lot of readers in the room because we're at a writer series. So we probably have a lot of TBRs, but I want to know, Antoni, do you have a TBP, a to be prepared, like a dish you've not made yet, but you want to make?
That's good. A dish that I haven't made yet. So my parents traveled a lot when I was a kid, and I had someone who raised me who was amazing, and she was Polish, Pani Teresa, rest in peace. She had a lot of really wonderful gifts. Cooking was not one of them. It was wet, soggy breadcrumbs literally on everything, which right about now kind of tastes good. So I would sneak over to Arjun Chotwal's house, who lived 2 houses down, and they had an Indian restaurant, and one of the chefs would literally be at their house making fresh roti and dal every day, which it's just like the best Indian food ever. So I was raised on Indian food, basically. But my parents didn't know because then I would show up at home and eat Polish food again. Indian cuisine to me, just like the complexity and the layers and all of the spices, is something that's highly intimidating to me, that is very much like a mother's hug. And so it's something that kind of like terrifies me that I might try to do. Or you know what, Tan will just come in from Salt Lake and teach me how to make his dal.
I love it.
His recipe is excellent, by the way. He uses like 36 cloves of garlic. I mean,
wow.
reek, but so it's worth it.
You can use 36 cloves. Oh, okay.
I can't pick because I don't want to make anyone unhappy.
We've got probably time for 3 more. What do you think, Doug?
Okay. Wait, we need
upper
someone,
deck.
we need upper deck.
Right here, sorry. Upper deck right there.
Hi. I wanted to know, if you were to take your partner's family to New York, where would you want to take them to eat?
That's a good question.
Good question. You know what? I set myself up for that one, didn't I? I'm always like, don't be too personal. Keep some stuff for yourself. And then I come out and I'm like, I am what I am. So the Polish side, I feel like we have covered. Like maybe, okay, let's start the day. So we wake up, as one does. We go over to maybe like Washington Square Park for a little walk and go to Stumptown and get some nice coffees. And then, yeah. And then after that, we would take the subway, take the L train to Greenpoint, and I would go to Kiszka, which is my favorite meat shop.
Yes.
Because it's just like bitchy old Polish women who like have no time to waste. Next in line, let's go. Like, that is how I was raised. I love it. And we would get kabanos, but we would get the 2-day-old one that's already dry with dobra teściowa, which means happy mother-in-law. Fitting. Mustard, because it's spicy, and you dip the kabanos into it. So we would have that. We would go back to the city, and it would be like early lunch. I guess we're starting our day with cabanos. It is what it is. And then I would go over to my favorite Italian restaurant. These two women in the West Village have they have a lot of restaurants. Actually, no, I would go to their first restaurant, Buvette, and we would have the soft scramble on the sourdough with a bit of French ham on the side, and their shaved carrot salad, which has so much cumin and cilantro. Delicious. We'd have a little coffee, and then we would go across the street to their other restaurant, Via Carota, where we would have top 2 New York Times recipes ever recreated are Marcella Hazan's tomato sauce, neither here nor there, but amazing, worth it. And the other one is the Insalata Verde that Samin Nosrat reposted as well, with the greatest vinaigrette of all time.
Do you have the bat phone to get reservation? Via Carota is like very hard to book. FYI, you had the bat phone.
Anyway.
You got the plug.
So we would get the Insalata Verde. And it's very produce driven, which I feel like as Michiganders, they would like really respect and appreciate. Wait, did I also mention, so Zach is like half Italian. So this is like to honor his Italian side. Yeah. Sharing a lot of information about them that they did not sign up for showing up here today, but that's fine. Their last name is, no. And then I would order the sfizzerina, which is 3 different cuts of beef. It's basically a hamburger patty, but it's well done on the outside and it's perfectly raw in the center, but warm, with a single clove of slow roasted garlic and a sprig of rosemary that you brush on it. You squeeze that little piece of garlic like a pimple and just smear it right on top. And it is poetry. And then we would go home for a nap. And then after that, I would maybe take them, just because Zach and I, our favorite is, I got him really super addicted to, at ABC Casino, which is a Jean-Georges restaurant. Yeah. He has this lemon chicken rice with crispy chicken cracklings, because he loves to eat like all the weird bits off of like all that kind of stuff.
Preach.
And so I would take them for that, so they would have that, so they would really enjoy it. And then for dessert, I think we would go home and I would just like hand whip some like beautiful cream with like beautiful, no, not blueberries, because you have better ones here. You can't serve that to Michigan. That's bullshit. You can't do macerated cherries either. Damn. You know, I'd go to Magnolia and get them some banana pudding and call it a day.
Yeah. Oh, that was good.
Like,
questions.
What are you gonna do?
Where's our microphone at? All right, we're doing one up there.
Okay.
Right over here.
Is it
and
me?
then we're going to do down
great.
here.
Perfect. Hi, Antoni. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
My name is Ty, and I am originally from the Bahamas. So immigrants make this country great.
Right.
And you're so right about all of us having a history with food. When I was growing up, every Friday, the fishermen would come to our house and offer us fresh snapper. And I remember my grandmother would make soup every Friday. She would bake bread, and we'd also have fried fish. And because of that, I started my own baking business a few years ago, and I sold bread during the pandemic. Anyway, I just wanted to give you that history just so you know.
Yeah, no, I love it. Thank you.
It's important.
Wait, what's the name of your business?
It's no longer a thing, but it was called Broken Bread House.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, rest in peace, Broken Bread House.
Thank you very much.
Great name also.
Thank you very much.
6 months later, Ant launches Broken Bread House in New York. I've never baked in my life. Yeah, way too precise. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, go on with your question.
My question is, there are a few episodes that stick out to me, that mean a lot to me. Two of the episodes were the wheelchair episodes. One was the episode with the guy who is deaf. I'm a person with a disability, so they mean a lot to me. And 2 other episodes, one was with the mother whose husband left her and with her kids.
Nicole.
And the other one was the mother with the queer son. And all of those episodes are very, very heavy. And I want to know...
Oh, Mama Tammy.
Mama Tammy.
Oh, I literally tried to leave the scene because I was crying so hard.
So my question to you is, what is your self-care routine after experiencing all of these heavy moments? The most important question, though, after you answer this question...
Yeah. Okay.
Sugar or salt in your grits?
Wow.
I love that you're asking a white guy about grits. One time I made gumbo in New Orleans, and I only put in corn because the restaurant owner wanted to, and I got roasted for 6 months. I'm not answering the grits question.
Yeah. Learned it.
In terms of self-care, probably salt. Couldn't help myself. But I think in terms of self-care, I'm definitely what my therapist... rule of 3, I guess, would call a highly sensitive person, which is a great book that you should order on Amazon. You only have to read like the first 35 pages and you're good. Like, you'll get it. Like, if you cry at a painting or if someone's crying at a cocktail party and you take it on, like, that's me. And so I had to figure out how to, because you meet these people and, you know, to your point, you're having these like really intimate conversations and like you're spending a lot of time with them and you get really close. And then suddenly it's like, poof, goodbye. And the cameras are done. And it's like, which I can't even imagine what it's like for them. But for me, it's actually I'm a very ritualistic person. And so, you know, when we were filming in DC now, we had a lot of really emotional episodes, and Ken and Jeremiah and I happen to be living in the same building. And so we always have like a debrief, and we do rose, thorn, and bud, like favorite part of the day, least favorite part, what we're looking forward to tomorrow. And whether we were cooking, we never cooked because we didn't really have real kitchens. So Jeremiah would order dinner and he would order a lot of Nobu because he's a little bougie. No detail that no one asked for. But I think I used to be alone a lot, and that was kind of the worst thing for me. But when I am alone, I had this obsession with trying to create the perfect time of just like spending time with myself. And it's usually a bath with Epsom salts, lavender, a really good candle, some Maggie Rogers or like later Taylor Swift. Maybe a bit of Lana, depending on the vibe. And then I take a little like a supplement that makes me feel like a little cozy at night. That I feel All
right.
Yeah, that makes me think of like a nice lettucey green. It's usually the vibe. And then some whole flower chamomile tea. Oh my gosh, this amazing tea store that you guys have here.
Yeah.
You know what it is. Yeah, right. Clearly. They're amazing. We went today. It's awesome. And so like tea is very important for me at night as well. And not to have too much caffeine. But yeah.
Great. Question over there, right in the far corner. Yeah, you.
Hi. You mentioned early in your career that you were interested in acting, and I'm wondering if you're considering pursuing something down those lines at this point in your career.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I think it's definitely the way that I see it. I've always had many passions. And that's definitely one that like I've dabbled here and there on like little projects and like doing little cameos here and there. And there are like conversations. The answer is yes, I definitely want to. And for me, it's not about pivoting into another thing, but it's just doing more different things to just kind of keep myself and my ADHD brain just kind of like inspired and busy. But it's definitely something that I really have enjoyed doing and that I definitely want to do more of. Yeah. But I'm never letting go of food. That's for damn sure. Yeah.
I like that. Let's do 2 more, right? Let's do a few more.
So my question to you is, what is your favorite corgi breed?
I saw 2 beautiful young Pembrokes today on the beach. That sounded a little like To Catch a Predator-y, but they're just walking around with their little floofy butts on the beach. They literally were, though. They were so cute. There's something elusive and a little rare about a cardigan because they just have those long tails. I think it would be, I don't know. I love all of them, truly. Right. I love all dogs, but also adopt, don't shop. Yeah. But also there are responsible breeders out there, which we have to give a shout out to, who like really take pride in what they do and that's important as well.
Of all the things you've taught everyone over time, what would you say is the most important lesson that you shared with people as something that they actually continue to carry with them in their life beyond just the brief segment that we get to see with you with these people for real?
Yeah. That's a damn good question. I think it would be, there's like in like the first 3 pages, I think, of The Great Gatsby, there's something about like not ever judging someone unless you've had the opportunity or the misfortune to walk a mile in their shoes. And I think with literally anything that whenever you experience any type of discomfort of someone who you don't understand, whose ideology you don't agree with, who makes you feel a certain way about something, before you shoot the arrow, just look in the mirror. And it's not that it's your fault or that you're doing anything wrong, but just recognize what's being affected in you. And you might learn that what's being affected in you is a beautiful thing that you really want to protect and nurture. Or you might learn that maybe this is an opportunity for you to change the way, okay, I'm going to bring up Carol 4 times. Fuck. So in any type of situation where we're uncomfortable, she always tells me you can do nothing. You can leave. You can try to change the situation. You can try to change the way you look at the situation, so perspective, or it's like a combination of those things. And so I would say it would be that. Whenever anything just makes you kind of like clench up and tense up, just like take a beat and just like listen to your body. And what I've been taught in the past almost year of my life is like just like take a breath.
Good answer. Thank you. Right here in the front.
First, thank you for being here tonight. You're
Wait, where are you?
I'm down
Oh, hi,
here.
you're so close. Hi. I'm like,
I'm easy to ignore. It's just I kind of fade into the woodworks.
hey, no, we don't know. What's your name?
Terry.
Carrie?
Terry with
Terry.
a T. T like Travers.
T like Terry. It's a big round of applause for Terry.
Big.
What was your most embarrassing cooking moment, your most triumphant, and most exciting thing you've ever done, or have you done it yet?
Okay, most embarrassing cooking moment. What was the second thing?
Your most triumphant.
Most triumphant. And
the
then
most exciting thing you've ever done, or have
and
you
then
done
most
it yet?
exciting thing I've ever done.
Or
Okay.
have you done it yet?
The biggest cooking like mistake that I've ever made, I think would be I'm going to get back to you on that one because I want to find a good one for you. The most triumphant was actually cleaning out I was cleaning out my like den closet. This is like a weird one, but just like bear with me. It's kind of wacky. But I was cleaning out my den closet of a lot of things because I can be a little bit of a hoarder, but I also love to get rid of stuff. And I found a Belvedere bottle of vodka that they sent to me after the show came out, and it like lights up from the bottom and it has my name on it. And I don't even drink, by the way. And my dad was over. I'm Polish, mind you. In Belvedere, you have the presidential palace that is on that bottle. He was over, and this was right after Queer Eye won their first Emmy. And he came to visit me in New York with his girlfriend. And we were going to this like wonderful City Harvest gala that I was hosting. Like, I'm not saying any of this to like be braggy, but like I had a lot of exciting shit going on. I was hosting it with Chrissy Teigen. I was like, what the hell? Like, my childhood self would have been like, what is happening? And my dad went into the freezer to get ice for his gin and tonic because he makes the best gin and tonics in the world. I'm like, it's literally just gin and tonic. Calm down. And he finds this bottle and he sees that my name is engraved in it. And as a Polish man, vodka is like a big part of our identity. He literally, 20 minutes later, he's not coming back to the table. I'm like, what's going on? I go into the kitchen and he had a tear coming down his eyes. And he's staring at this bottle of vodka. Dead ass sober too. Something about that moment, as he's like texting his brothers, a photo of him next to the bottle, it was like one of those obnoxious big ones. There was something about that moment that just kind of like clicked for him, that his like son did a thing. And I've had a lot of those moments where I'm just kind of like, I can't believe that this is happening. But it was like, I often would tell myself like I'm really like my own person, and I'm, not, I'm going to do things so differently than my family. But I think at the end of the day, like we all want to make our parents proud. And just like in that moment, seeing that bottle of vodka, like I yelled at him because I was like, why are you been out of here for like 20 minutes? And why are you taking 50 photos of this goddamn bottle? Like just take the bottle. Like you don't need to document it. But there was something about there that just kind of like, that it just kind of like clicked, where I was like, oh wow, which was really beautiful and really weird. A triumphant moment, I think it keeps happening. That's why I'm like so lucky, and it's like embarrassing to say because it's like it's weird to talk about successes sometimes, but it's like whenever when I get stopped by someone, especially at airports because families tend to travel together, and where you have multiple generations of people who are like, we watch your show together. And there's something about a thing that brings people together as opposed to pushing us up against each other and having like mindless debates where we're not going to convince people, but that's just unifying. For me, that just kind of always warms my heart. And the fact that I was able to be part of this thing for 10 seasons that just told stories and made people a little more comfortable considering the other side of the fence, and a little more curious to get to know their neighbors, and that just like where our MO was truly just like kindness, I think is like, that's a thing that I get to like experience every day. And I'm like really, really lucky. And in the kitchen, like I've never really screwed anything up. I'm kind of perfect. I don't know. It's my cross to bear. I don't know. One time I oversalted a little, I guess. No, I've oversalted a lot. I've definitely oversalted a lot. That's my number one.
We're going to end it here. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
As a Michigander born in Kalamazoo, I feel so proud that we impressed you and that you want to come back. Thank you for sharing.
You're stuck with me now. Thank you so, so much for coming out. I really appreciate it.
Lindsay Baruch, welcome to This Is Taste. It's great to meet you.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Well, we're going to talk about something delicious, your brand new cookbook. And I want to hear about your style of cooking for those who don't know it. And what led to you launching, your own platform to represent this style?
Yeah, I think my style of cooking is fun, and I try to make it super approachable when I'm cooking, and like what I'm sharing, I try to make it approachable. But I think from my experience in restaurants and just like eating at a lot of restaurants in the area, I feel like I've been able to pull tips and maybe types of flavor profiles to bring at home that like give me restaurant quality at home. With approachable ingredients and flavors. So I feel like that is kind of my cooking style in a chill but fun and inventive way, I would say. And yeah, I can tell you like a little bit about like how I started.
Sure.
But I started posting restaurants on Instagram. And I've always loved cooking ever since I was young. I would always watch the Food Network. That was like my go-to all day, every day, the Food Network. And so when I was like going into high school and college, I started to go out with friends, eat out at restaurants, be exposed to new ingredients. I was actually like a pretty picky eater in middle school. Like I would not eat fish at all. Like fish, sushi, if salmon was next to me, like cooked salmon, I really did not like it. I don't know why I was such a picky eater, but I was. And it's crazy now because I'll eat anything. So there's just kind of like this shift from, even though I liked cooking in middle school, there was still this like big shift to try all these new things. So I started posting restaurants, and then I just kind of transitioned into like recipe development when I was like, I think it was like after college. I just wanted to like transition to that like love and passion that I had for cooking. And again, like being able to start in restaurants and going to these restaurants, taking photos, learning from the chefs. And also, I was exposed to so many different ingredients than I was growing up because I was in like a small knit community. So I wasn't really exposed to different types of cultures. So I think that had brought me to sort of the way that my cooking style is today. And then, yeah, I just started posting more recipes and all of that on my social. It was just Instagram at the time, and then it expanded to like my blog and other social media.
Mhm.
And that's what brings us
And
here
then it just
today.
got you to the
Yeah.
cookbook.
I mean,
And
as a kid, like when I would watch the Food Network, I was always like, wow, this would be really cool to have a cookbook, right?
yeah,
Because I loved cooking. I also loved photography. Like that was a
yeah.
really big part of like my whole journey. Any kind of photography in middle school, I was always the person with the camera, taking pictures of everything, posting the album on Facebook that like night.
So you have a really cool background. You have Iraqi Jewish heritage, you have Indian heritage, and I want to just get into some of those dishes you grew up eating.
Yeah, of course. There's definitely like a bunch sprinkled throughout the book. And as I've grown older, I've come to really appreciate that type of like heritage that I had growing up and learning a lot from my aunts. My mom is a sister of five. My mom does not cook at all,
Mm.
but she's the baby of five. So I've learned a lot from my other aunts, and we'll like, they've taught me everything whenever we'll get together for holidays and things like that. Um, but in terms of the like cooking style, it's interesting because it's not like super traditional Indian. It's like a certain type of Jewish Iraqi Indian cooking. That is like there's like this small part in India that like they're called Baghdadi Jews, and it's kind of like a fusion between Iraqi and Indian food, which I thought was really interesting. As I was like writing the book and writing some of these recipes, it was also around the time where my grandfather passed away. So as we were cleaning out their house, I found all these cookbooks, like really old cookbooks that don't even exist anymore, with just like all this education about this type of really small community. So I was able to like learn a lot from that. But of course, there's like in terms of specific food, dal is like a big one, always at the like centerfold at the start of dinner. They always do it in different ways. Like every aunt has like a different way of making their dals. I'm sure everybody does. And in the book, there's a recipe with dal, and I gave my own spin on it too. My husband's Persian, so I really like ashveshte. I'm probably saying that pretty
Yeah, it
bad, and
sounds
I'm so sorry. Um, but it's kind of like a bean stew, and it's topped with like crispy onions and kashk, which is like Persian way. So my interpretation, taking inspiration from my aunts, was like topping it with a yogurt and crispy onion. So it's kind of
Mm.
like mixing my husband and my upbringings together.
Very
Um,
cool, very cool background, and you see it throughout the book. You
Thank you.
also see the MLT. I love it, the mortadella, lettuce, and cheese. Tell me about this great idea, because I'm a huge fan of mortadella.
Oh my God, I love mortadella. This recipe actually started as like a bacon and mortadella sandwich. So I was doing crispy bacon, and then the mortadella wasn't even crisped or anything. It was just kind of crispy bacon, the mortadella as it is. And then um it kind of adapted into this situation because as I had it in my first test with the bacon and the mortadella, it didn't feel BLT to me. It was kind of feeling more like a slice, like a meat sandwich. And I was like, I really want the tomatoes to come through. I really want this to feel like a BLT. So then my next test, I think I tried like just mortadella, not and no bacon, but I didn't crisp it yet. And I was like, but I want that crunch that I get from the bacon. So then it turned into that like crispy mortadella. And then that was like my perfect happy place because it like you get that char from the mortadella like you would with bacon. You still get the like really good tomato that you would in a BLT, and then the lettuce, and then I think there's like a shalloty mayo which is like super pungent and it like balances it out. So I think it turned out the exact way that I wanted it, and I also like it because you can make it kind of faster than bacon, and it's not like as splattery as bacon would be too.
So super, super smart. Uncle Ira's good dressing. That's the name of the recipe, and
Yes.
I love a good dressing. So tell me about it.
Okay, so it's simply like a super creamy balsamic dressing, basically, but also again with a lot of shallots, Dijon mustard, and balsamic vinegar shaken up. And this is called Uncle Ira's dressing because he makes this at every like family function. And so when you'll come into the function, there'll be like a bowl of salad, right? Like as we're serving, and then my cousin would say, is there Uncle Ira's dressing? And then, like, basically, no one eats the salad unless there's Uncle Ira's good dressing. And it's called it's called, like, they literally, like, my whole family, it's like Uncle Ira's good dressing.
I love that combination and that you pay tribute in the book.
Yeah.
Well, Lindsay, it's been great catching up with you. Thank you so much for joining This Is Taste.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is Taste is hosted and produced by Eliza Barbanal and me, Matt Rodbar. The show is edited by lead producer Clayton Gumbert and supervised by Pat Stango, Director of Media Production and Development at Penguin Random House. Thanks to Shalia Harris and the production team at Penguin Random House. Theme music by Steve Rydell. Logo and guest illustrations by Ellie Skurzat. Visit Taste online at tastecooking.com and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter to keep updated on all cool things in the world of taste.